Speaking of kicking the tires and getting a feel for, the team, there's a new survey that found the average person makes a first impression in just 27 seconds after meeting somebody else. And about 1 in 3 people actually do that much shorter, under 10 seconds. So I have to imagine there are listeners and viewers right now that are tuning in for the first time. You're making a first impression with them. I'm not going to put you down to 10 seconds here, but in a little bit of time, what do you want to say to them?
Well, first impressions, yeah. We all create first impressions of different people in general. At my events, since you asked, Chris, I'll throw something out here. At my events, one of the things that I always get comments on is how genuine and knowledgeable I seem to come across. So, a first impression that I would try to do is just to state that I've been in this business for a long time, and my best interests are having your best interest at hand. Mm-hmm. How about you, Chaz?
I would say generally the same thing. I mean, for financial advisors, making, and I'm including you because you
Sure.
do the healthcare part of it, financial advisors, it goes beyond just giving, looking someone in the eyes and shaking hands. Mm-hmm. Those are some of the basics that I think I was taught as a young child,
Absolutely.
just to look people in the eyes and shake hands. But more importantly, when I was probably 21, just graduated college or about there, my first job, I remember my first manager, owner of the company I was working for said, "No one cares how much you know, Chaz, until they know how much you care."
Exactly.
And so I've always kind of been a numbers nerd. We joke around about it. I'm very analytical in my business practice and my approach with, helping people control spending and, make sure that they've saved enough to reach the goals that they want to achieve. And so I would say just, what that means to me is coming across very honest and trustworthy. And so the other thing I think is important for financial advisors for you to look for if you're searching for one is if they have a specific niche
Exactly.
or niche, wherever you're from. But if you have something that you do specifically, I would say promote that because there are about 750,000 financial advisors in the country right now. And it's hard for a unsuspecting investor to choose when we all have different names. Some are financial planners, some are investment advisors, sales. We definitely don't like the salesperson term.
Sure.
But in some cases, that's really what you're getting. And so it's important to promote yourself, promote the specific niche that you have. For a lot of our listeners, I think the niche that you should be looking for is retirement income specialist, because without income, there is no retirement.
Right.
So we specialize really in helping transition clients from the growth and accumulation phase, getting up the mountain, if you will, to then getting down the mountain and traveling a much different path than what you had to travel on the way up. And I also use the analogy of a pilot sometimes when it comes to financial planning. And you really want to have an advisor, I think, that's grounded in financial planning and some of the concepts, time value of money, diversification, asset location, some of the things that we've talked about, tax loss harvesting. But more importantly, again, that process going back to refining over time and being less wrong every time that we meet, and we're just course correcting. Imagine taking from a pilot's perspective, how many pilots do you think, Scott, get up in the air and don't have a flight plan?
And I hope none of them do.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some American Airlines. I don't know what's going on with those guys, but yeah, the very few pilots probably ever get up into the air, and if they did, it would certainly not be a pilot or a plane that I wanted to fly.
Sure, exactly.
The other question I'll throw at you is, how many times do you think that the flight actually diverges from the flight plan?
I don't know what that number would be, but I'm sure that it does. I'm sure there's certain things that have to happen, and you have to change a little bit. You have a course correction.
Correct, yeah. The wind might blow a certain way, it kind of throws you off course, so you have to course correct. So I think that's something that, as a investor, if you're looking for a financial advisor, you want to make sure that they have a solid, grounded practice and professional methodologies that are grounded in financial planning techniques. Because you and I both know, as soon as we get up in the air, the course we're going to have to course correct almost immediately. And it's important that the advisors you're working with recognize that and know how to make those changes on the fly in the air that are going to protect you and get you to the destination as soon as is absolutely possible.
Well, I know with experience, and like you said, one of the things that a lot of people need to look at when you're building that first impression. I know it just happens, right? You don't plan on creating a first impression, but you look at somebody and you see something. People that I have dealt with over the past know exactly when they're being sold something. And I know all of you listeners out there and viewers, you know exactly what we're talking about. If you go to one of these events and you see the presenter up there and they look like they're trying to sell you something, you can see right through that.
Or if you feel like you need a shower at the end of it.
Absolutely. You feel dirty after you go to an event, and there's probably something wrong with the presentation of that event, right? So if you're looking for some ideas on getting over those first impressions, like what Chaz says, look for that person. It's not one person doing a little bit of everything is not going to be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And that's part of why we work together. Do you really want to buy your health insurance from a financial advisor? I ask that question all the time. And do you want to buy your investment advice from an insurance guy? I know me personally, no.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should either. If you want to deal with somebody that specializes in financial planning, then find that financial advisor that you're comfortable with, that you trust. And if you want to buy your insurance, your whether it's life insurance or Medicare or health benefits, find that advisor that you can trust and you feel that he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. I think also too, Scott, you bring up a good point, is that if you don't know what you're looking for, I think a good place to start would be with a certified financial planner.
Absolutely.
And one of the advantages of selecting a certified financial planner to help navigate to and through retirement is, first of all, they're required to have a certain amount of education from accredited institutions. There's a CFP coursework that we have to go through. There's ethical requirements and a pretty lengthy examination process. But more importantly, in any particular transaction, whether it be, like you said, insurance, financial planning, maybe just investment management, whatever that engagement is that you're looking for, a certified financial planner by designation has to function in the capacity of a fiduciary.
Sure.
I know that term gets thrown around a lot, and we've defined it several times, in our own words. But to me, it doesn't necessarily mean, again, we have to be completely right all the time, but that it means we have a process and we know why we made these recommendations and why they put you in the best position they can be in. Really, no other, advisor that chooses to license the way that we do can say that they have that same requirement, because oftentimes they're duly registered. They are insurance agents and advisors. So you need something that kind of levels the playing field to say, my interests, as far as the client's interests, are ahead of everything else that we're doing today.
It's kind of like with what I do with Medicare, right? You don't have to have any certifications whatsoever to sell a Medicare supplemental plan. You have to be licensed to sell health insurance, but you don't have to have any certifications. And I run into this a lot, where a lot of people will say, well, I've heard from another advisor that an Advantage plan is not a good option. Well, there's a couple of reasons why they may say that. One, they just don't understand all of them correctly. But if you're sitting with someone that is looking to present a Advantage plan, they have to be certified through a program called AHIP, which is an acronym. But in any case, you have to be certified, and then you have to recertify every year to be able to present these plans. One of the things that, I'll end this segment on this, is one of the things here at America's Retirement Headquarters, the reason why it's such a great place to actually come in and do business, is we don't try to do everything ourselves. We have financial advisors, we have CPAs, we have attorneys, we have insurance, we have Social Security claim strategists, we have estate planning. We have all of that here in one building, and obviously myself with doing the health insurance. So when you come into America's Retirement Headquarters, it's kind of a one-stop shop that will allow you all of the resources that we have available. So check us out on the web, and let us know if we can help you.
You can actually go to arhq.com. Right there on the top is an About section where you can meet the entire team, get to know them a little bit better. And then, this is obviously a first impression. Something Chaz touched on there that I want to bring back here. There is a difference between investment planning and income planning. They're both very important. Investment planning is probably something you're familiar with. That's what you've been doing during the working world. But how do you turn that into income? Well, it's probably a difficult thing to do on your own. The good news is you don't have to do it on your own. The team at America's Retirement Headquarters, they're here for you. Just give them a call, 419-794-3030 to start that planning process, 419-794-3030, or the website, arhq.com.